Well, first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for taking a little bit of time to contribute to your own personal development. To my friends and family joining today, I'm getting a little bit emotional, but hi, I'm here. And to all of the learning professionals all over the world tuning in, thank you. Thank you for being a part of this amazing community that we call learning. And I get to share just a little bit of learning with you today. So before we get started, I'd love to share a little bit about me. My name is Richard Mendoza, and my learning background scans different industries. I was in the United States Marine Corps. I was a law enforcement officer in Florida. I've also led learning strategies in the hospitality sector and also in retail technology. Currently, I am the director of enablement at Oracle, and I get to enjoy this amazing thing called clinical trials. So what are we going to be learning about today? Well, today, we're going to be talking about how we can convert information into actionable behaviors. You see, information is vast, and you can have so much information, and all of it is so relevant. But you have to process all of this information through this amazing thing called the human mind. And as we all know, this human mind is very, very complex. So we have to ask ourselves, what can we do to ensure that we protect the bandwidth of this beautiful brain so that then we can make truly effective learning out of information? So I have an analogy that I love to share when it comes to converting information into behaviors. So I want you to think of when you're cleaning your clothes, right? If you're using one of these big liquid bottles of Tide, one can say that all of that is information, right? You need the Tide because it's relevant. You could apply it on any clothes that you have in your washer and dryer. That information is applicable in all different circumstances. And also that information can influence all decision-making that is necessary when cleaning clothes. The real power in converting information into behaviors is to start by concentrating your efforts and what you want the information to do. Actually, what you want to do is that you only want to take information that is relevant to the desired behavior that you have for your desired outcomes. You also need to ensure that you could actually apply the behavior and utilize the information to reinforce the behavior that you seek in your learning. And then after that, you really want to ensure that we are targeting the information to the behavior so that you can get really effective outcomes. And we're actually going to do a live example of this today because this is not a presentation. This is learning in action. So if everyone is still with me, if we could use those emojis, let me see some hearts. Let me see some smiley faces. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I see it and I love it. We're going to go through an activity, and it's important to understand that when the human mind is processing all this information, your goal as amazing learning professionals is to decrease the time in training while increasing the efficacy and the efficiency and the proficiency of your learners. I do not need all of the liquid of the laundry detergent to get the results of targeted, concentrated learning efforts. So ladies and gentlemen, we're actually going to do an activity together to use this in practice. So the first step in the conversion process is information-led deductive reasoning. Let's discover this together. So team, we have about 552 people here. Let's say our goal, all of us together, is to learn how to eat cereal. That is the training that we are about to create together. So some would say, well, Richie, to create cereal, I need to have a bowl. I need to have a spoon. And I need to have milk. All of this is information. So at this time, Chris, if you can do me the favor and put up the very first poll for these amazing learning professionals, I have a question for each and every one of you. Which of these items can actually be removed from this training that we're trying to create? I'll love to give you all of you moments. Oh boy, some of you are aggressively leaning towards one answer. So let's go ahead and give our amazing learning audience a little while to select these votes. Boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy. Christopher, you said they were active and they less than 3 seconds, like almost half of our audience have already chosen their answers. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right, great. So as we wait for these answers, this is my favorite. This is my favorite. Wow, about 20% of our audience are saying we could definitely remove the milk. 22% of our audience is saying we could remove the spoon. 6% is saying, well, we could just get rid of the bowl. And then 52% are saying, get rid of it all. Oh, this is fantastic. So, Chris, since this is my first time kind of seeing this here, I think we have a general consensus. Everyone is saying that we could remove all of the above. And I'd like to go over each and every one of the answers. So are we able to go back into the presentation? All right, perfect. And before we do, I want to give you all a round of applause for participating. Do not get your fingers tired, just like Chris said. So let's take a look at this scenario. So let's look at the bowl. If you were to really think about how to eat cereal, do you really need a bowl? And the answer is no. And this is really an example on how information creeps into learning, right? So actually, if I needed to eat cereal, I can eat it from a cup. I could eat it from the bag. I could eat it from the box. So this bowl is not required. It is possibly desired. So now let's look at the spoon. Do we need a spoon? We actually do not need a spoon. Why? Because you could eat cereal with a fork. You can eat cereal with your hands. You may be a little bit savage, right? But you can eat cereal with your face. By automatically assuming that a spoon is required, this is how information creeps into your learning that is actually desired, as we have not yet actually started focusing our efforts on what we actually want. And the same thing with milk. You inherently do not need milk to eat cereal. You could eat cereal with orange juice. You could eat cereal without liquids, and you could eat cereal with orange juice, right? So step one is looking at your information and saying, is this desired or required? Now, luckily for us, I do want to do a training where we're actually using a bowl, a spoon, and milk. So for my learning professionals out there, the real problem was my learning objective, which should have been how to eat cereal with a bowl, spoon, and milk. So that is the first part of the information that I wanted to share with you today. The last part is, well, Richie, what do I do once I have my information? What we're going to do now is that we're going to reinforce the relationship between your information and your desired behavior. So here's an example. We have our training, how to eat cereal with a bowl, a spoon, and milk. But is there more information that we can use that can help us with the relationship of these items? So at this time, Christopher, if you don't mind, if you could please put up the next poll. I have shared a bit of information for our learning audience, and I would like to ask them, hey, audience, of these three statements, which one do you feel enhances or restricts our learning objective? Go ahead and take time and pick the questions, pick the answers. And the goal is which one of these actually enhances or restricts our learning objective? Perfect. All right. Fantastic. Learning professional. Oh, look, I'm actually looking at the comments here. I see this. You could even use a pot. Yes, you could eat it. You could use a pot. I love it. I love it. I love it. So we have almost a split audience here. We're almost halfway through our selection. And which statement restricts or enhances the learning? Amazing. Great. All right. As the answers continue to come in, um, what's really important about this second part of really, weaponizing your information or making it as effective as possible is that you really have to ask yourself, if I remove this information, will I be successful? So let's go ahead and let's look at these three statements and see if that is the case. So number one, let's say in our how to eat cereal training, we remove the statement, you can buy bowls on Amazon. Okay. If I remove that, will I still be successful in eating cereal? Because the answer is yes. This information is not needed in our training. And what's really important about this is that if you do not take the time to isolate this information, what ends up happening is that you have tiny statements all over your training, which will then cause cognitive load, right? There's too many statements spread out all over the place that do not connect to the behavior, and you really want to avoid that. Next, paper bowls will absorb the liquids and collapse the bowl. Very important. If I do not have this information here and I'm using a paper bowl, this will actually restrict my behavior. It will not allow me to eat because the bowl will be collapsed. This is the type of information that is eligible to add to our training. And then last but not least, hey, plastic utensils are recommended. Well, again, because we know that we don't need plastic utensils to actually eat cereal, we could remove this information so that the only one piece of information really is eligible, which is paper bowls will absorb liquids and collapse the bowl. So for the 193 learning professionals, kudos to you. For the other learning professionals, kudos to you as well, because we're all learning together. Chris, at this time, if you could bring me back to the presentation, fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been the greatest honor of my life to be here just for a little tiny bit of the commitment that you have made to your personal development. As a small gift, I've used this amazing tool called 7 Taps to create a course called Emotions and Decision Making, and I'd love to share that with all of you. And if you love to connect with me on LinkedIn, I would love to meet each and every one of you. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes my section of this presentation. I want to give a great shout out to Christopher, to our magician, to Kate, and to everyone that has allowed me to be a little learner, a little Richie Mendoza, to bring just a little bit of joy into the world. Thank you so very much.
I gotta see. We definitely gotta. First of all, Richard, I really appreciate